Hi guys, so we heard about the recent news about the government coming up with a new law to prevent the cancel culture, and I think it's about time. I mean, we've always seen how social media has grown significantly, and there's always this backlash. If you do something wrong, people go out, condemn you, and either it's right or wrong. Can you remember the girl who was filming someone in the gym and then falsely accused him of staring at her? And then there's just a whole backlash on that poor guy who was an innocent. But at that point in time, there was no law that the guy can take out on the accuser for falsely claiming something about him. So I think that law is timely and is needed to actually tame this wild west that we have on the internet. It's very much to the POFMA, where the POFMA is looking at false news, but it's now targeted at person initiating the news, But then what POFMA does is in a way a form of cancel culture. It's a form of cancelling of the person that made, So I'm a little bit of a dilemma of trying to understand that we're trying to come up with a law to help manage content online to prevent this cancel culture.
Okay.
But yet, if you pass a comment or a view that is not in line with the government or with general understanding, you get POFMA.
So
it looks the same.
Correct me if I'm wrong. There was a case by Temasek Review. I think they did say something about the government or the government policy, but then the government came about and say, okay, what you said is not true. Please do the correction and apologize. So I believe POFMA is about retracking and make sure that you don't give out rubbish about any other person, including the government, over the social media.
No, so was it a request to amend or were they POFMA?
POFMA.
So they were POFMA. So POFMA, it's a means to get you to change.
To correct whatever if your stance is wrong, then you need to correct it.
But what if you don't? What if you don't? Are they going to, they're going to hit you at what you've done wrong. But are they going to hit you where, it's like outside of that scope? Are they going to look at your job? Are they going to do, what the netizens would do? Like if Xia Xue were to say something, the netizens would jump on her back, look at who is sponsoring her, talked about the sponsors until they pull out. So they hit out at her livelihood, they hit out at her family. So is POFMA actually doing that to the person who's talking about, say, the topic, or not, but only concentrating on what is false news?
Before we dive into that one, if we look into the law aspect of things, if you steal, then you'll be punished for stealing. If you do all other crimes, like say shoplifting, you'll be punished for shoplifting. So it's very specific vertical that you are being punished for, unless you are a serial criminal, right? You do the same thing over and over again. But I think they should not reflect upon the cancel culture, because a crime is based on that specific deed that the person commits, right? So it should not be a cancel culture. But if POFMA goes through that path, then I think it is not a healthy one.
Yeah, I mean, we know cancel culture is going over and beyond that incident, where that whole person's livelihood, family is targeted, But in POFMA's case, it's a tool that is wielded increasingly more often. I don't know. I think the government needed a legal means to force someone to take down a false truth. In the past, we used to have to rebut, but the false truth still remains online. And I think this came about, from the US, where where we got fake news and all, and it became a tricky point where, hey, what is real news and what is not real news? So I think that's the issue lah, and I think that's where the POFMA comes into place. But what is getting me concerned is, where is there room for expression, opinions, right or wrong, and just sharing of views? Because I think we need to have a means to share your views. I may think you've done something wrong, or I think I see things differently, you know. But I think there is merit that if I can see it differently, it's obvious, you know. And either you tell me, hey, no, I think you're wrong. Let me try to tell you something that's right, or you just say no, your POFMA, take it down and say it's fake news. I mean, it's the same outcome, but I think there's a different learning. I don't know. Am I being too nice?
You're being very kind. I believe if POFMA is about the false truth, right? If it's not the truth, then you need to correct it. The recipient or the victim should say, no, this is not right about me. Please make that correction so people will read that this is not true about me. So that's done. I think POFMA should be all about that. But if it transcends down to the cancel culture, why there is a need to kill someone for giving an opinion? Now, to give an opinion about friends, you can talk rubbish. Nobody will stop you, right? But when you talk rubbish about the government, when you want to comment, you need to comment sensibly. You need to have your facts. You need to have your figures before you can start talking. The problem is, most of the policies behind the scene, or what the government does with the reserves with the CPFs nobody actually knows what happened, because it is not out in the open. Until you know about what exactly happened, then you should not comment. You can ask if they want to answer. If you do not get the answer, you cannot jump into conclusion. Now that's where it's wrong, I think.
But this GIC guy who recently commented and got POFMA, it's an economist in the GIC. He must know what he's saying.
Yeah.
And do you think he would just say without really going through his mind whether what he feels is right or wrong?
That's just one guy's opinion. Does he have a backup?
I mean, I've not seen the article, but you're talking about, let's say, a minister comes out and say, hey, a minister of okay, I'm not getting anyone in trouble. A minister of health might come out and say, hey, Ministry of Transport, why is your train breaking down? Didn't you do A, B, and C? Will you POFMA him? No, right? You wouldn't POFMA someone else who is in authority, knows his work, and saying, hey, I thought you were supposed to be doing maintenance 3 or 4 times, but yet it still breaks down. What went wrong? Are you slacking?
Why is he answerable to you?
No, but they're both experienced people. They're both high-level marketing, management people. So the key issue is, can someone express a different opinion to the other person in authority or in charge of that project? I don't know.
It is not what you ask, I think, it's how you ask the people in power. Was maintenance done 3 or 4 times a month? Yes, when? If you can share. If they do not want to share, it's their right not to share. So it's very difficult because they are not sharing a lot more than what they are giving us. So we know very little, and that very little, when you start assuming things, they go like, you just accused me of something which I didn't do. POFMA you, like that.
But then if you were to talk to someone who's a political watcher or a societal watcher, of course he or she will have his or her own opinions, right? So like, let's say I've been watching the politics going on in Singapore, and because I've been watching, I comment on it. Does that mean that I will get POFMA? Because after all, I have spent years watching what's the comings and goings. Then how can I not express my opinion on what is going on or what is not going on?
And expressing your opinion on what information is available in the public eye.
then fine. Based on what you
But
know.
you still get POFMA. So the question is, being POFMA, is it bad?
Of course it's bad.
Or is it a title?
You've been earmarked. You go like, okay, this.
No. See, POFMA is a law. You know, does it add to my record, my criminal, my dossier, or is it just a tool, a law that say, oh, so and so you're POFMA? It's just the name of the law that's saying, oh, please correct. You know? So is there like 3 strikes I'm out, 3 strikes I got to do something?
If you are the same person who come to my house every day asking for a drink at this time, at this hour, so I will be ready for you. Or if you create any other issues, I will deny you. So of course they are being marked. So he said this one time, he said this second time, he said this the third time. We need to address him and the matter, because he might not say the right things and get other people to believe in him.
Because in the past there was these 2 Australians, remember? They started a website, they started to write about Singapore, and then they got convicted, this guy and husband and wife. You know, they were convicted. You know.
But did they write the right things?
No, I'm just trying to find out whether if I get 10 POFMAs, something doesn't happen to me.
No, one
No,
is
but
enough.
then you see, if you get a POFMA and you retract, nothing is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
But if you keep pushing it, like,
If you refuse to correct,
then something will happen to you unless you keep retracting and saying something else and
See,
retracting. And
if you ask anyone the right questions, you will get the right answers. Or if you ask someone the right questions and they might not want to answer, that's too bad. But if you start accusing something that you have no proof, then of course they will have a field day slapping you down for accusing you of something which is not right.
So is there hope for us in Singapore to be able to express ourselves outside of the home and the bar?
I am not certain if that is going to be a definite yes. I do not think so. Maybe your next generation will be able to do that over social media or in person. But during our time, there's this innate fear that someone might just report us. There's an innate fear that we just might offend someone out there and be in trouble, not getting any jobs, not getting A, B, C, D. So everybody keep their mouth shut and stay away from politics.
But what if you're just talking? Nobody's recording. There is no evidence that you said that.
Then it's fine. It's like between 4 walls. If I'm not mistaken, under the Commonwealth law, anything behind closed doors is legal. You talk about it, then you just remain there. You don't influence the public over the internet or over a crowd listening, then I think it's fine. You talk your own rubbish at your own home.
And somebody else is going to say, I talk my own rubbish on my own wall on Facebook.
No, it's for public viewing. Unless you control
remember
it.
the Lee Hsien Young's son? It was private and yet someone shared it and then he got into trouble.
It was private. Someone took a screenshot and shared it, which is not right.
Let me retract one step back. If it's on my private wall, then you take a screenshot of it and you publicize it. Is that any fault of mine?
The onus will be on...
You stole it, right?
Yes.
So why am I being punished?
You're being punished because you said it. You
I said it in a
and
very private home.
No, let's say Mel Gibson. Anti-Semitic views. I don't think he said it publicly. He is known for it. But because he has that views and someone said, yeah, I know he feels that way. I have evidence that he feels that way. Even though he took the evidence, Mel Gibson suffered his career. He's only starting to come out of that, the whole issue about the passion of Christ and his views about the Jews. So there's nothing private anymore. It's like saying, hey, I'm John, but actually I have a thing for collecting underwear from in Japan kind of thing. You're not saying private, but someone knows about it and says, yeah, he has that interest, he has that fetish. That's it for you. There's nothing private anymore. Even if you walk around your house naked also, people can find offense if you leave the curtain open.
Even though it's in your own house.
Yeah. So I think we are in a a world now that because we are so connected, there's camera everywhere. There's no such thing as privacy or your own views in your own four walls. I think we really need to approach live discussions in a very different manner. I mean, like let's say if you want to do a research study or a scientific study or a sociological study, you need to have your processes, your for and against. I think we've come to that stage where, good or bad, we must present our arguments, but we must also present it in a balanced way, but with an outcome. Cannot be one-sided.
So you're not allowed to be emotional, that is for sure. I do not think the government would allow that. Have you, no, have we, do we remember that phrase? If you got nothing good to say, shut up.
But we are in a world that we always want to comment now. Everybody has an Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
True.
And that's your megaphone. TikTok, that's your megaphone.
Yeah, so the government has to protect themselves. I would want to protect myself. I think she would want to protect herself from slandering, right? So the law is in place to make sure that you are not being abused or you're not being a victim.
Abuser
Yeah,
also.
yeah.
So let me turn this around. Can someone use the law against cancel culture against POFMA?
Ooh,
Like someone who has been POFMA
yeah.
and then go into the spiral where losing his job and everything. Can he make use of this new law against cancel culture against POFMA, because POFMA had committed some sort of a cancel culture on him?
I think
Just a thought.
I would go one step further. I wouldn't say just POFMA. I would say any legal action against someone.
If you have proof that you are being cancelled, then you can. You need to show proof first.
If you're being sued till you're bankrupt, you're cancelled because everything is gone.
Why? You need to find out. You need to find out to the core of it. Then you can fight it. If not, they say you have no proof. It's all about proof these days.
So how did people share their views or opinion in the past before social media came about?
No one heard. It's not being read. It's not being circulated fast enough. Unless they're being, hey, I know Kevin said this, or I know you said this, I know you said that, then
So it
it's
has
different.
always been in our human nature to express, be it in the home, outdoors, or in the long time ago, people stand in the church or in the town square and preach, or give their views.
Or even the old uncles in the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is easy to hate. But how do you not take offense from someone who behaves ostentatiously? Like you say, not a good character. But if that's the truth, then fine. But if the person defended, then too bad. It's always easy to hate.
So I think it's very much still an education. I mean, you know what you're going to... Some people just rant online, YouTube, Facebook, and they know that they are ranting, and either you lose your job, you get POFMA, you get sued.
Yeah.
Why do people still do it?
They just want to try their luck. They think they will never get caught. But in short, you cannot say whatever you want to say in Singapore. Yet.
It's around the world.
Yeah.
I think everybody goes to your LinkedIn, goes to your YouTube before you get... Now, job application is like that, So are we having to live a sterile life and not be ourselves? And I thought social media is for expression, for...
Supposedly,
Yeah.
then, but I think a lot of government are taking stance. First, it's they do not want to lose power. They do not want to lose influence, right? So if they can control all this so-called influential talk over social media, then they will not lose power, right? What if the opinions over the internet gets bigger and people believe, and people will lose faith in anyone, in any leadership? So they need to protect themselves. They need to make sure that their power remains as strong as possible. Anybody. That's what I think. So you cannot say shit yet, at least in Singapore.
Where can you say shit then?
Nowhere, except with friends, not recorded.
No, in other countries. You say only in Singapore.
No.
In the
Nowhere.
US?
No.
There's freedom of speech, freedom of the press. Yeah, you can.
And there's
Look-
no repercussions if you talk like this in the US? Or
I don't think so unless you get sued. You know, you are named in a civil suit.
Haven't you watched movies? It's a true reflection of what life is like in the US. You can talk whatever you want. Someone will just whisk you away.
No, but if you look at in the US, they will whisk you away or they won't.
They will. They might.
So it's the same as Singapore. So are we now living in a world where those with power and money can dictate and snub out different opinions, views?
Let me rephrase that. Might is right, at least for now in this current times.
Unless you have people power lah.
Yes.
People power up. Okay, man, it's a sad but exciting time.
I'm not sure about exciting. It's just sad that we are not allowed to be ourselves.
No, I say exciting is because social media allows you to do a lot. You know, there's an article we've been looking at where it's about if you're in a photography business, you have greater reach. But then the only issue also is there are 92 million photos being pushed on Instagram daily. Do you get a chance to stand out? So it's a give and take. It facilitates you, but it also facilitates everyone else. Yeah, so I think let's hope that I think Singapore might be taking the lead in trying to maintain and manage this new metaverse or this new arena that we all are playing in. And we are the guinea pigs.
Oh, just pigs.
And that, let's call it a day.